Okay, this particular video is about glazing. I'm going to glaze some bowls and I'm going to glaze some serving platters. In addition, I want to show you a couple of tea bowls that I used layering. I'm going to talk about that. I'm not going to show you the process, but I'm going to talk about it in a way that you can understand how to try it out yourself. Certain glazes work best this way, and it's really trial and error when you start. Alright, some of the ones have not turned out like I hoped, but they were fine. They looked just fine the way they were. But after a while, I figured out which glazes tend to layer the best. As you can see, the bisque fire comes out with a kind of a pink color. Alright, and then we're going to begin glazing. And I just want to show you a very simple, basic method of glazing. We're going to brush on a couple of coats. I'm going to do the bottom first, and then I'm going to do the top. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is lay a light padding on the banding wheel. The banding wheel will let us turn the item as we glaze it, because these have rounded pointed corners, so I don't want them to chip. So we're going to lay it on like that. We will be handling this with our hands, so it'll be lifted up and stuff, and if a little glaze gets on this, it's not a big deal. It'll go into the wash. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is wipe the surface down. Some water and a sponge that's been squeezed out. Alright, that'll make sure there's no dust, no dirt, nothing like that. I'm using what's called a banding brush, or this is a painter's pan brush. Shake the glaze really well for approximately 2 minutes. You want to make sure there's no lumps, there's no separation of the glaze and the water. You're going to get mixed up really good, just like you would. So shake it up really good. Now we're going to begin application. Do is start at the top and work down. I'm going to go around where the base is. You notice the brush has a little bit of water in it. That's okay, because we're going to put at least 2 coats on here, if not maybe 3. So notice I'm going down first on the sides that are raised away from the cushioning on the banding wheel. Now, I wish things were as perfect as I wanted them to be, but in the bisque firing, the bowls warped just a little bit, but the bases are fine, so it's not a real problem. They still work nicely as bowls. Notice how with this fan brush, because it's so wide, I can get right down there to the edge even where it touches, because I'm going to pick this up and turn it over, and I'm going to do the top of the edges. All right, so I'm going to go to a place where it looks fairly dry. I'm going to turn this over. And I'm going to go along on the top edge. This will be nice because this will give the color of the base against the color of the inside, which is going to be a much lighter blue. What I'm using here is called Blue Dusk, which I've been very, very impressed with. Its color is very nice. It's like a dark blue, but it's got a lot of light blue possibilities built into it. And when I've used it for bowl or T-bowl interiors, it really gives a nice finish. Okay. Now for the serving platters, we use the same technique. If you want to, you can put glaze on the inside, and I may do that. Who knows, I may even use a different color glaze. It's a nice thing about this, you can change your mind as you go. You can layer glazes. I could put on this Blue Dusk. Then I could put something like terrazzo on top of it, which will add a little speckled finish to it and change the blue just a little bit. I can work a little pink into this in spots, and then the terrazzo. But I'm going to stick with the Blue Dusk for now. Now on an item like these serving bowls, I'm going to use a little trick, which is to move them out over the edge a bit. That lets me take the brush right to the edge. Notice I'm making sure that glaze gets down into those grooves. I'll do that all the way around. Okay, this is a bowl. The inside is done with the blue nebula, and the outside, if you can see here, it's many layers and many colors, some of which ran quite nicely. I never plan runs, I don't like them, but when it does something like this, it's kind of like the kiln is telling you what this bowl needs to be, okay? And the pink ran nicely, almost like landscape you would see on the on Mars, all right? And then you have this beautiful green and blue-green. And what I did here is, this is called copper patina, and this is called tutu pink, okay? And what I did is I just took the fan brush, and on top of a layer of terrazzo, which was a binding layer, it just covered it nicely. I then put the copper glaze just dry brushed on, and then the pink dry brushed on places over that. All right, so that they would go together a little bit, and the colors turned out just really marvelous. I'm real happy with this. All right, this is another one. The inside is that tutu pink, okay, over the blue nebula, and the outside the same way. All right, now you notice again the pink has a tendency to kind of run. You see it coming down here, down to the edges, but the colors are just marvelous. I'm real happy with them. They just move. They have such great motion and such a wonderful sense of peace and calm. I'm real happy with how this bowl turned out. Okay, and that's done the same way. It's dry brushed over and then moved in another color, and then dry brushed and then put in the kiln. Okay.